Welcome to ISO 27001 for cloud services. In the next few minutes, we'll show you how to apply ISO 27001 controls to cloud environments including AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. You'll understand the shared responsibility model, which Annex A controls are critical for cloud, how to manage cloud-specific risks like data sovereignty and multi-tenancy, and how ISO 27017 and ISO 27018 extend ISO 27001 for cloud providers and customers. Let's get started. Let's start with the foundational concepts that make cloud security different from traditional on-premises security. The shared responsibility model is the fundamental concept that governs cloud security. Understanding it is essential. Cloud providers are responsible for security of the cloud. This includes physical data center security, hypervisor and host infrastructure protection, network infrastructure and DDoS mitigation, and maintaining their own compliance certifications like SOC 2 and ISO 27001 for the platform. You inherit these controls, but must verify them. Customers are responsible for security in the cloud. This includes classifying and encrypting your data, configuring identity and access management, securing your applications, and meeting your own regulatory obligations. A misconfigured S3 bucket or overly permissive IAM role is your responsibility, not the cloud providers. Let's define the cloud-specific concepts that ISO 27001 implementations must address. Data sovereignty means your data is subject to the laws of the country where it is physically stored. For organizations subject to GDPR, this means understanding exactly which regions your cloud provider stores data in. ISO 27001 requires you to identify and comply with applicable legal and regulatory requirements, including data sovereignty. Multi-tenancy risk arises because your data shares physical infrastructure with other customers. While cloud providers implement strong logical separation, the risk of cross-tenant data leakage, noisy neighbor performance impact, and shared vulnerability exposure must be assessed and controlled in your ISMS. Cloud Security Posture Management, or CSPM, continuously monitors your cloud configuration against security baselines. It detects misconfigurations like public storage buckets, overly permissive security groups, and unencrypted databases. CSPM tools are essential for maintaining ISO 27001 compliance in dynamic cloud environments where configuration changes happen constantly. ISO 27017 provides additional cloud-specific security controls for both cloud providers and customers. ISO 27018 adds controls for protecting personal data in the cloud. Together with ISO 27001, these three standards form a comprehensive cloud security framework that demonstrates robust cloud governance to customers and regulators. Now let's examine the specific ISO 27001 controls that require special attention in cloud environments. These Annex A controls require specific cloud-focused implementation. User endpoint devices in cloud environments include laptops, phones, and tablets accessing cloud services from anywhere. Implementation requires mobile device management, conditional access policies that verify device compliance before granting access, and endpoint detection and response. The traditional perimeter is gone in cloud-first organizations. Annex A Control 5.23 specifically addresses information security for cloud services. It requires establishing a cloud governance framework, assessing providers before adoption, defining security requirements in contracts, managing the shared responsibility model, and maintaining exit plans to avoid vendor lock-in. Encryption in the cloud covers data at rest and storage in databases, data in transit between services and users, and key management. Use cloud-native key management services. Enforce TLS 1.3 for all communications. Implement client-side encryption for sensitive data, and establish automated key rotation policies. Monitoring in cloud environments must cover configuration changes, access patterns, API calls, and security events across all cloud services. Enable cloud-native logging like AWS CloudTrail or Azure Monitor. Feed logs into a SIEM for correlation. Deploy CSPM tools for configuration monitoring, and establish automated alerting for critical security events. A cloud-focused ISMS requires a layered security architecture that addresses each layer of the cloud stack. Identity and access management is the new perimeter in cloud environments. Implement comprehensive IAM policies following least privilege, enforce multi-factor authentication for all users, deploy just-in-time access for administrative privileges, and use privileged access management to control and audit elevated access. Network security in the cloud uses virtual constructs like VPCs, subnets, security groups, and network access control lists. Deploy web application firewalls for internet-facing services, enable DDoS protection, and use private endpoints to keep traffic off the public internet wherever possible. Data protection ensures your information remains confidential and intact. Encrypt all data at rest and in transit. Manage encryption keys through dedicated key management services. Classify data to apply appropriate controls, and deploy data loss prevention tools to detect and prevent unauthorized data exfiltration. Governance and compliance tie everything together. Cloud Security Posture Management provides continuous configuration monitoring. Compliance dashboards track your security posture against ISO 27001 requirements. Comprehensive audit logging supports both operational monitoring and certification audits. Cloud-specific incident response playbooks ensure rapid response to cloud security events. Let's close with the most important lessons for ISO 27001 in cloud environments. First, the shared responsibility model is not optional knowledge. Misunderstanding who is responsible for what is the root cause of most cloud security breaches. Your cloud provider secures the infrastructure. You secure your data, access, and configuration. Document this clearly in your ISMS. Second, cloud misconfiguration is your largest attack surface. Public storage buckets, overly permissive IAM roles, and unencrypted databases are discovered and exploited within hours. Automated CSPM monitoring is not a nice-to-have, but an essential control for any cloud ISMS. Third, identity is the new perimeter in cloud environments. Without physical network boundaries, IAM policies, multi-factor authentication, and strict least privilege enforcement become your most critical security controls. Invest heavily in getting identity right. And fourth, consider ISO 27017 and 27018 as extensions to your ISO 27001 certification for cloud services. They provide cloud-specific controls that demonstrate comprehensive cloud governance to customers, partners, and regulators. That wraps up our overview of ISO 27001 for cloud services. In the full Udemy course, you'll get detailed control mappings for AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, practical implementation guides for every cloud-relevant Annex A control, cloud architecture patterns that satisfy ISO 27001 requirements, and preparation for certification with cloud-specific audit guidance. Thank you for watching. If you found this overview helpful, subscribe to the channel for more content, and check the description for the link to the full course. See you in the next video.